Hi, everyone. David Aragona and Mike Beer here, taking a look at the stakes race that will close out Cigar Miles Saturday at Aqueduct. The final race on an 11 race card is the New York Stallion Series Great White Way division for the 2-year-old males. And note, as I did with the Philly race, this is not technically a race for New York breds. It's a race for horses that are sired by stallions standing in New York. So it brings together an interesting mix of runners coming in from different directions. And with the money they're giving away for these two races, Mike, the Fifth Avenue division and the Great White Way, there is incentive for connections to run, and you could see they want to run in this race. It's oversubscribed.
Yeah, they're all going to take a shot for $500,000. You could see that coming a mile away, and you can just sort of look at the PPs of some of these horses and realize that they're probably only in here because of the purse. There's 14 in the main body, David. 7 of them are maidens.
And unlike in the race for the fillies, we also did a video of that you can find on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. In this one for the males, Mike, it does feel like we're going to have a heavy favorite despite the large field, and that is the number 2 Parker Boone, a horse who beat Open Company on debut at Parks, and just looks like the kind of horse that was probably purchased with this race in mind, got the perfect prep in, and if he runs the kind of speed figure he did first time out, everybody else in this field could be in trouble.
Yeah, we'll get more into him when we get to his individual analysis there. But yeah, it's his debut is probably every bit as good as it looks on paper. It's just not surprising at all to see him entered in a race like this.
And maybe one concern with Parker Boone, Mike, is that he only showed the ability to go to the front on debut. He's drawn inside. We'll take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race. I don't know if there's quite as much speed in this race as there was in the Fifth Avenue division for the fillies. That's a little bit earlier on this card, but there still are some fast horses drawn outside of Parker Boone, particularly the number 4 Diamond Child, who feels like a quarter horse in thoroughbreds clothing. I mean, the way he busts out of the starting gate and shows speed every time. So they'll probably hell bent on trying to get to the front with him. But I don't know if anybody can go with the 2 if he shows the speed he did first time out.
Yeah, we'll see. You're right. The 2 did show a lot of speed, and not only did he show a lot of speed, he was very alert from the gate in that race. So, we'll just see. And the other thing is, you just don't know what his running style is. Is it going to be an issue for him if that number 4 horse, who's really fast, if that horse beats him to the lead? Does it put him in conflict? We don't know yet, David, because he didn't really have to prove anything first time out. He broke right on top, and he never looked back.
Let's go through this large field from the rail out, beginning with the number 1, Shummers, and he's one of the few horses in this race that is switching over to the dirt after having achieved most of his success on the turf. He broke his maiden on the grass 2 back, going 6 furlongs in October. They tried Stakes Company last time, stretching out to a mile in the notebook, and was a little further back than you would have expected after getting steady early in that race. A mild run at the end, Mike, but he's a horse that just has a lot of questions to answer, switching back over to the dirt, a surface he failed to handle on debut.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he just didn't run well on his debut. It's only his first start, so you don't really have to hold it that much against him. And he's obviously gotten better since then, but he's gotten better on a totally different surface. And so I just felt like he was too hard for me to have any real confidence in. Despite the fact that he does have some pedigree to be a dirt horse, and he's turning back in distance for this.
Up next is the horse that is going to attract the most attention in this race, the number 2 Parker Boone, and we'll take a look at that replay of his debut victory at Parks. And Mike, I think it's fair to wonder what was behind him in this race, because you could just see in the tape. I mean, the field is totally strung out. There are some horses that are struggling to even finish off this race. But, you do look it up in Formulator. The runbacks, the 2nd and 3rd place finishers, they actually ran back to their speed figures, did a little better. I think the 3rd place finisher, who contested the pace along with Parker Boone, or at least tried to, really improved next time. So it felt like this 77 buyer stands up to scrutiny. If you look at the Timeform US speed figures, it's rated even higher there. And that kind of number just makes him a total standout in this race. And we know that these connections can come to New York and have success in stakes events.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, yeah, even if you really like the debut and you think the figure is legit, sometimes these horses will ship in, from that mid-Atlantic, and they just won't bring their race with them. When Butch Reed comes, they usually bring their good race with them, so you don't really have to worry about that. And the other thing is, as impressive as he was, David, again, we have to see what kind of trip he gets and whether he needs the lead, but this horse has tons of pedigree to be even better going longer.
The number 3, Fruitier. The connections paid a whole lot of money for him earlier this year, $700,000 at that face that tipped into Monium sale. Maybe they have this race in mind at the time, Mike. And I mean, he did at least make it here, so they got that going for him. He's maybe, has a chance of winning, I think, $300,000 for the winning purse. But he's a horse that is going to have to run faster if he's going to be competitive with a rival like Parker Boone, who's drawn right inside of him. Fruitier, and he did break his maiden second time out, but he tried New York Bred Stakes Company last time in the Sleepy Hollow, and yeah, it looked like he was a little slower than those foes on paper, but he was still really disappointing finishing last.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, listen, this horse, he was, I thought he actually ran pretty well, breaking his maiden, going this distance, 2 starts back. I had no problem with that performance, even though he was a short price. I don't know what to say about the Sleepy Hollow. I mean, it's, the 1-turn mile isn't supposed to be a big deal for this horse. Even if he wasn't going to beat that field, I mean, at least pick your feet up. He didn't do any running at all last time, and now Pletcher's going to put blinkers on.
The number 4, Diamond Child, like I said earlier, could be the biggest early foe for the number 2, Parker Boone, because he's likely to go forward under Ricardo Santana. Mike, this horse is coming out of some stakes races at Finger Lakes, where he was chasing home Arctic Beast, a New York bred who's not eligible for this Stallion Series race. And that Mike Maker runner does seem like he's pretty talented. And Diamond Child tried to vie for the front end with that horse both times, couldn't really see it out. And the way that he's lacked finish, going 5.5 and 6 furlongs, makes me really concerned about him carrying his speed over the 7 furlong distance.
Yeah, I have the same concerns with him here. It's not like, even if he does make the lead in this race, he's going to have to go fast to get there. I think that's a real problem for this horse. And I just felt like he was really hard to like in here.
The number 5, True Legend, one of the few maidens coming into this race. He got pretty close to breaking his maiden on debut, only lost that race by a nose. But I mean, given how well he ran first time out, Mike, you've got to be a little bit disappointed in the 2 subsequent races where he got to the front end mid-stretch, second time out, faded at the end, and last time out, I know the pace completely came apart, but he had a clear lead coming to the 8th pole and just basically, short and stride badly coming to the finish line. Those were all turf races, and he's one of the few in here that's got to prove that he can switch from the turf to the dirt. He's never tried it before. There is some pedigree for him to handle the dirt course, but just too many questions for me.
Yeah, maybe he'll just be a better dirt horse. That remains to be seen. But to me, I thought he hung in his debut when he didn't win, and I hate his 2 starts since then.
Another horse that is a maiden, switching from turf to dirt, is the number 6, Sicilian Dancer. This one is by much more of a turf sire in War Dancer. And he's only got the 1 start under his belt. Mike was a big price that day, didn't do a whole lot of running, is going out for a barn that generally gets them to improve through racing, but just feels like they're taking a shot here.
Yeah, really like this trainer, really respect Michelle Nevin. But I'm with you. I just feel like this is a big purse. His connections are just going to take a shot at it here.
The number 7, Spirit of New York. Of all the horses coming in off turf races, he's probably the one that's going to take the most money. He has a prior stakes winner on the turf. We'll actually take a look at that stakes win too back in the Bertram F. Baumgard when he won, going 6 furlongs over some fellow New York breds. And I like this victory, Mike. I mean, he runs well to hold off a late charge from a rival in the late stages of this race. Maybe the problem is when he came back in the Central Park, in the, I should say, the Notebook last time, he got a very good trip, saving ground every step of the way. I didn't feel like there was a big excuse for him, not only to fail to win the race, but to finish off the board in 4th, was kind of lacking finish in the final 8th mile. So maybe that's an indicator that he really does prefer sprinting. He's turning back, albeit on the dirt. We don't know if he can handle this surface.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he's not really my kind of horse. I think he's pretty good. I think he's a good turf sprinter. I don't know about him as a dirt horse. He's not really my kind of horse unless he was just going to get totally overlooked. And it doesn't feel like that's going to happen in here. But I do like him turning back to sprint, David. I won't be shocked when he wins, but he's not the kind of horse I'd be, looking to make some kind of big bet on the win end.
The number 8, Muscle Shoals, is perfect in 2 prior starts. Both of those came at Finger Lakes, and both of those races were just 7 days apart. He won his debut race by a couple of lengths in early November, came back just 1 week later, won the Tin Cup Chalice as the favorite. We'll take a look at the stretch run of this race, and I like the performance he puts in here. I'm not really sure what was behind him, but the way that he draws away from this group at the end does have to give you some encouragement that he might be able to carry his speed a little bit further. He's bred to do so, but both of these performances, it should be noted, came over sealed racetracks at Finger Lakes. And given the pedigree, he is by a sire that gets some turf horses. I do have some questions, not only about company here, but getting onto a fast Harrow track.
You have to worry about the surface. You have to, just worry that even though he's 2 for 2, he hasn't really run a fast race yet. That Tin Cup Chalice that he won last time the 2-year-old filly division of that race on the same card had a faster final time. I mean, the same final time, faster fractions in that race. So I'm not really sure how good that win was last time.
The number 9, Sunday Boy, another maiden in this field. He's had 5 starts to try to break through. Hasn't done it yet, but he did finish second a couple of times on debut where he showed some potential. They subsequently went to turf for a couple of starts, ran okay on that surface, actually had a bit of a trip two back. But they got back on dirt last time, Mike, going a mile, and he ran on well. That was a forwardly dominated race. The horse got out to the front end, very comfortable, was able to wire the field, and I thought he ran on pretty well to finish second in there. And if you make the case that this pace comes apart, and maybe that's the way Parker Boone loses, and a closer does well, he's probably the one with the best credentials to come running at the end.
Yeah, I looked at him the same way, and you have him, I think, fairly priced on the morning line. If that's the scenario that he gets to take advantage of. Here's another horse turning back a little bit in here, so that could certainly help him. I mean, if nothing else, on his second turf start, he was in against Arctic Beast, and he just couldn't go with that horse. But in his debut, he gained ground into a contested pace to finish second, and you might get another scenario just like that here.
The number 10, Dingy Bar, another late runner who's still a maiden coming into this race, searching for his first career victory. The problem is all 3 of his prior starts have come on the turf. And while there is a little bit of dirt pedigree, if you look through, I mean, some of the Galileans seem like they actually have preferred the turf, but there's some dirt on the dam side. Mike, I'm just not sure how good this horse is. And even if he transfers it over, I'd want a pretty big price if I were going to back him here.
Yeah, maybe you'll get one. Maybe he'll just get totally overlooked in here. A surface switcher whose 3 turf races are fine, but they're not great. He'll have to be a lot better on dirt.
Number 11, Hey Pal, is another Finger Lake shipper. Took him 4 starts to break his maiden. Finally did so last time when they stretched him out around 2 turns going a mile, but he got away with a very soft trip in there, a slow pace. He just was able to control towards the front end, ran away from some overmatched rivals late. Not sure he's quite going to stack up against this field, Mike, and he's probably not going to get the same trip this time.
Exactly. He's not going to wire this field. I appreciate the fact that he absolutely smashed that field last time, but it didn't make me want to bet him back.
The number 12, Takahama, is a horse who is still a maiden coming in here, has never finished on the board in 2 prior starts. Both of those at Finger Lakes with big prices against maiden and stakes company over there. Pretty hard to make a case for this one, Mike.
Listen, yeah, you put up this kind of money, horses like this are going to take a shot at it. I'm not betting them.
Number 13, Combat Mission. Of the maidens coming into this race, Mike, I think he's one that you could argue at least has run in some pretty tough maiden races, because you look at the field that he's been in against. I mean, second time out, that maiden race with Bravaro, 4th and 1, max money. The top 3 finishers in that race, they came back to also complete the trifecta when they all returned in a stakes race, the Sleepy Hollow next time. So that was a very strong maiden affair. And then last time ran into a horse that came back to win his maiden next time out in Wamo. Pantherian seemed like a very highly regarded Todd Pletcher horse that ran well in that race. So I like the company that he's kept. And it just feels like he's been a bit of a work in progress. They got really aggressive with him second time out. He faded at the end. They were more conservative last time, but he kind of ran in spots in that race. So that's why they're putting the blinkers on. We'll see if that makes a difference, but he does feel like a horse that might still have a little bit of improvement in him.
Yeah, I agree. I saw all the same things you did. And I do appreciate that they let him use his speed 2 starts back and then didn't do it last time. It feels like they are just trying to teach this horse some things. Blinkers go on. I'll be honest, David. I feel like his races are okay. I made a note early on that I'm waiting for this horse to get to the turf. So I feel like maybe his future will lie there, but I have no argument with I think he is better than he looks on paper as a dirt horse.
Yeah, I think we both like that sire combatant with his turf horses. We'll see if Combat Mission ever gets a chance on it. The number 14, Hurricane Kaz, another horse that I got pegged at 50 to 1 on the morning line, Mike. He had to drop down to a maiden claiming level last time to even be remotely competitive, and that performance is not going to give him much of a chance in here.
Yeah, and he's got a very, very difficult post position, too, that he's going to have to overcome.
Couple runners drawn on the also eligible list. Both are going to be big prices. Of them, I think the number 15, Pure Mischief, is just mildly interesting. He's showed more tactical speed last time, was also in that really tough Bravaro race on debut. Not a horse that I like on the win end, but if I'm playing exotics, he's one that I would use underneath. And here, let's go to our picks for this Great White Way division of the New York Stallion Series, Mike. And I see, we did a lot of talking, a lot of horses to go through, but you're not going to try too hard to beat this heavy favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I did try hard, David. I looked at a lot of different horses in here, and I just feel like Butch Reed has found a really good spot here to ship this horse. And his debut, I was impressed with his debut. I feel like if it shows up and he can run something like that against this field, he's going to be really tough.
I think he's way the most likely winner of this race. He's probably going to get it done in here if, as long as some just go on a suicide mission to try to beat him to the front end. I just think that the number 13 Combat Mission has a better performance in him. A maiden coming into this race, probably going to be a fair price. So I put him on top, 13-2-9-15 for me and 2-7-3-9 for Mike in the final race on Cigar Mile Saturday at Aqueduct, the Great White Way division of the New York Stallion Series. Good luck everybody playing the races this weekend.